first thing I want you to know, I'm going to try to make it super simple. There's three components of a private banking system. It's the life insurance. Second, it's the cash value. Third is the lending. So there's only three components of that. And so we're going to start first with the life insurance, right? So first thing you should know is the difference between whole life and term life is that whole life insures you for your whole life, right?
Yeah.
Not term, which insures you for, part-time. So there's a cost of insurance. The second is it's a fixed price for life. So it's like they dollar cost averaged your whole life. And so that basically means that your insurance will appear expensive in the beginning. And then until it's not, till it's actually free, right? And then at the end, it'll look more expensive as you get older, but it's buried in the fundamentals of the cost. So second, initially it appears expensive, never times out, always grows. And by year 3, it cash flows. And so what does that mean? That means in year 3, the interest earned inside your banking system overcomes the cost of insurance. And so the first thing between, buy term, invest the difference, or whole life, what we want you to know is by year 3, sometimes by year 2, the interest earned inside your bank overthrows and overcomes the cost of the insurance. It can be owned by an individual, it can be owned by a corporation.
Yeah. And this is the distinction as well with design, because when it comes to the way we're designing it, it's even sometimes year 2 that it cash flows. But with a typical design policy, it's usually 10, 11 years before it gets to that.
So let's do this. Let me finish these couple slides, and then I'll throw it to you, and then you can kind of show how the programs are designed.
Sure, let's do it.
Good. So second component is cash value. So if you can imagine, basically your life, if your life insurance costs $1,000, you can put $4,000 or $3,000 in your policy, but you're doing what's called overfunding it. And that overfunding exists or resides in what's called cash value. The technical name is called paid up additions. So paid up additions really can overfund by 3 to 10 times. Those paid up additions buy additional life insurance. But here's a kicker. Inside your contract with the insurance company, those paid up additions have a guaranteed dividend of between 4 and 6%. So there's a contractual guarantee. And then because you're a part owner in that mutual company, there's a dividend that you get, a dividend that's associated with their profit every year. And so it ranges between 4 and 6%, but it compounds uninterrupted for life. Most people don't understand what that means. So I'm going to try to highlight it here in a little bit. The interest is greater than your cost of insurance by year 3. Your cash in, cash out whole by year 7, meaning everything that you put in, you have available to use. All the growth is tax advantaged. Basically, I'll talk about how you withdraw the money, or you borrow the money, not withdraw the money. How you never ever create a taxable event, right?
It's very similar to like a Roth IRA,
right?
Where as long as it's used correctly, there'll be no taxable event.
So let's talk about just the value of not having a taxable event. Linz, do you have that poll? Can we do a quick poll on taxes going up or down?
I sure can. Here you go.
So here's a little poll we have. So we want you to take it. Do you believe that in our current debt cycle, do you believe taxes are going to go up or down? Let me know when you're.
Yeah, we'll give it just a second here. We've got a couple more people to vote.
I've got a feeling we're probably all or mostly all going to be on the same page here. Especially we've been asking this poll for a while as well, but
now it's pretty obvious.
Yeah,
because it's actually a stated goal of the current administration.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right.
Go up pretty soon.
So the results are in.
Pretty much everybody's going up, right?
Yeah. Are you guys able to see it or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can see it on the computer. Yeah. So 100%. Yep. So now you understand the magnitude of putting your money, your hard-earned profits inside of a vehicle that grows tax advantaged, or in the right language is never creates a taxable event when you use the money. So then the question is, well, then how the heck do I get my money out, right? And so you can see that the insurance company has a lending arm, not a withdrawal arm, a lending arm. And the insurance company says, hey, you have all this money over here stored in cash value. So I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll loan you up to 95% of your cash value at a variable rate of 3.5% or a fixed rate of 5%. So what that means is when I'm using my money, it's actually not a withdrawal. So it continues to compound over here between 4 and 6%. And it costs 3.5%, but Jonathan's going to review what happens when you pay down your base. It's a lot less than 3.5%. And so you make the spread. So you're storing up, you're creating a tax advantaged disposition. You're using your money without using your money, and you're making a spread, a positive interest rate in the middle. And so, and then that interest that you're paying is actually deductible if you're using it for business. And so what I'd like to do is pop over to Jonathan, and he's going to do a little whiteboard experience for you.
Yeah, if you know me by now, I learn on the whiteboard. So I know some of you probably do as well. So I wanted to give you kind of that same breakdown, but how this actually practically works. The reason being, like, if you can capture this part, I think the rest of what Stan's going to share is going to make a lot more sense. So I just want to break it down again one more time. So when it comes to whole life insurance, you obviously pay a premium. There's a cash value and there's death benefit. Unlike term, obviously there's just a death benefit. Term is a if insurance. If you die during the term, your beneficiary gets money. Whole life is a when insurance, because you are going to die.
And it's also an and insurance.
And yeah, for real, because we are going to use it along the way.
Right.
So I'm going to talk about that a little bit as well. But let's, for the sake of just a hypothetical scenario, I'm not talking about specific age or health rating or anything like that. We're just going to give you some of the basics of how this works. So your premium is made up of two things, the base premium and the paid up additions, as Stan mentioned. So think of it like this. Base is going to decide your initial death benefit, and PUAs or paid up additions, that's going to go straight to cash value. And our goal is to get money into cash value. Why? Because that's what we're going to be able to use along the way. And I'm going to show you how we're going to even use this system to create positive arbitrage. So let's just give an example here. Total hypothetical. Let's just say if you're paying in $100,000 a year in premium into a policy. Now, just so you know, some of you that may freak you out, some of it may not. You can do anything from, $5,000 a year to 1.75 million. That's, I think, the highest policy we're doing right now, a year. So there's a large range based on where you're at. But just to give you an example, if you, and I like nice round numbers, so 100,000, your cash value in your first year would probably be somewhere around 80K. Let's just call it there. And I know, let's give yourself a $5 million death benefit with that. Well, like Stan mentioned, usually by year 2 or year 3, you're going to be cash flow positive. So that means, okay, you pay in 100,000 and your cash value is going to go up by about 100,000. So what that tells me is in this year, the growth of your cash value. So what he mentioned before, so we got that 4% guaranteed, has overcome the cost of insurance. So this early on, it's not going to grow by a net 4%. It's just going to grow by, maybe it's only a very small amount or break even. But it means this overcame your cost of insurance. By year 3, let's skip down to year 5. Let's say you put in 100,000 and maybe this grows by 120,000 that year, whatever that number is. So that's what we're going to see for the rest of your life. The policy, every dollar you pay in premium, more than that will go to your cash value. And your cash value, this is the amount that's accessible along the way. Kind of think of this as the part of your death benefit that's available while you're living. And your death benefit increases each year too. Maybe this year, it's now 5.5 million, etc. We'll just keep growing. Handwriting, awesome, by the way. Okay, so let's skip to year 10. I'm going to do it right here in the middle. Give myself some space. Say year 10. And let's just say, for easy math, you've got, let's call it 1.2 million in cash value. Okay. So if you want to use this money, like Stan mentioned, you don't do a withdrawal from it, you do a loan against it. So you're using your cash value as collateral and taking a loan. And so the way that we've got it worked at the moment is if you wanted to, again, easy numbers, let's say we're going to borrow $1 million. $1 million, you're going to take a loan. What that means is there's an expense. So current interest rates are 3.5% on this cash value line of credit. I mean, the cool thing is there's no credit score, there's no origination fees, there's no hassle. You can actually get a checkbook. Like Stan, you've got a checkbook, right? For each, 2 checkbooks.
Yeah.
So he can literally write a check from his policy and give it to somebody, and it'll create this loan at 3.5%. So that's, I mean, part of the argument against whole life is why would you pay interest on your own money? It doesn't make sense. And the reason is, even though you're using this money, the entire amount still keeps earning. So let's just say, what's 3.5% of $1 million? 35 grand?
Yep.
Need Stan to check my math. Okay, $35,000 a year would be your interest expense. And that's assuming you're not making any payments back, right? So if you, because let's just say over 10 years, you didn't make any payments back on that $1 million. So you still got $1 million loan. You would have paid 350,000. If you made payments back, so let's say you just put yourself on a 10-year AM and we're making monthly payments back, your actual interest expense, I'm going to do an estimate, but it's going to be somewhere probably around 180,000.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be half of 3.5 because you're
Close enough, yeah.
because every time
you're
you
paying
pay
it
down
down.
the principal, your interest calculation is on a lower number.
Exactly.
And the opposite is true on the
the
insurance
compounding
side.
side.
It's continuing to compound up, right?
And then let's also remember that this is a tax deduction if you're using it for business. So your actual expense, even if it's 350,000, if you've been deducting that from your taxes, that's probably more like what, 200K? Or if you've been making payments back, let's just call it 100K. So your expense over this 10 years of using the $1 million, depending on whether you're paying it back or not, it's going to be somewhere in that $100,000 to $200,000 range. Hopefully that makes sense. So your expense was 100 to 200 grand using that $1 million over 10 years. Positive arbitrage is this. You have an expense, but you've also got a gain at the same time on the same dollar. So this 1.2 million over this side was earning. So let's call it a net 4%. Say it's policy that's 10 years in, you're probably netting somewhere around 4%. So 4% of 1.2 million, what's that, 48,000?
Yep.
And instead, the opposite happens. When you pay down a loan, the interest gets less each year. When you've got compounding interest towards you, it gets more each year. So year 1, it's 4% of 1.2 million, which is 48,000. So year 2, it's 4% of 1.248 million. Hopefully that makes sense. So it's going to start compounding towards you. So over this same 10-year period, it's actually going to grow by probably, I'd have, again, depends on age and health, but in this example, it's going to be around 480. So it's probably going to be around $750,000. So again, you use the million. So rather than taking it out of your bank account at Wells Fargo or Chase, where you earn nothing when it's in, you earn nothing when it's out. In this scenario, you use the money, you went and invested it, and you bought a business, did some real estate deal. At the same time, it cost you 100 to 200,000, and it earned you 750,000 with no taxable event. And now you can use this money to go do another deal. So that's the why. That's the big why of like, if you can set up this kind of vehicle, especially for your business, but for your family as well, having that kind of a spread while getting to use the money and still go do investments is a really powerful vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we've been doing here at Unbridled.
So the answer to the question is, why would I pay interest on money to borrow my own money?
Yeah.
And the answer is because you got a reciprocal add on the other side.
Yeah.
That far out exceeds what you're paying.
Yeah.
And what you're paying is deductible.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you get a tax deduction here and tax-free or tax advantage gains over here. And we didn't even mention the death benefit because this is a whole life policy. So the death benefit on this by then is probably $8, $9, $10 million, again, depending on the person's age.
Right. So the death benefit. So I think what we are really careful to say is we're teaching a banking system.
Yeah.
The death benefit's just like gravy
Cherry on top. Yeah.
Even if you didn't have the death benefit, you would want to do this.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because every dollar you spend, you're making interest on it.
Yeah.
If
And
you do it right.
you don't have the term insurance expense along the way. So
Yeah.
you got a cost savings there. You got the long-term care benefit built into that.
Yeah.
So for those who say buy term, invest difference, that's
Yeah.
why we're like, or do this system,
Yeah.
still do the investments, don't have the term insurance costs, and get the lifetime death benefit.
So we say buy a whole life and invest the
That's the
cash
cash
value.
value. Exactly right. Yeah.
Because at least if you die and you made a bad mistake investing,
you got all
death
your money
benefit's
back
gonna pay
anyway.
off. Yeah.
That's actually, okay, so one last quick point on this
Yeah.
loan. So I often get asked what happens if you never pay back the loan. So that $1 million, if you never paid it back, then when you die, let's say there's a $10 million death benefit, it'd pay off the $1 million and your beneficiary would get the net amount. So in this case, $9 million.
Yeah.